Hey, what's up guys, it's Dalton here, back on Daltodity, and today I have another very special tutorial for you guys. If you've not already seen the full version of this Scream Queens Season 2 opening parody that I made, make sure you go and watch that. I posted it back in November, I believe. I also had the full intention of posting a Green Meanie mask making tutorial. In fact, I actually filmed it a whole month before the parody video. But then some things happened, and then Christmas, and honestly I completely forgot about it. Until that is the other day when somebody commented on the Season 2 opening parody saying that I should make a mask video, and I was like, oh, I already filmed that. All I gotta do is edit together, so that is exactly what I'm doing. Today I'm going to show you how to make your very own papier-mâché Green Meanie mask. However, you do not have to make it a Green Meanie mask. With the tools I show you in this video, you can make any sort of papier-mâché mask you like. Now, this video would be very long if I included the whole process, so I'm actually going to split it into two parts. One, creating the mask, and two, painting it. Also, let's keep in mind when filming this tutorial, only the very first episode of Scream Queen Season 2 had aired, and the only reference picture I had was one I took of the TV screen when the Green Meanie came on. It won't be completely exact, but it'll be good enough. Alright, so now let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is some sort of base. I will be using this styrofoam head I got at my local craft store. Then just take an old wire hanger that you've got laying around your house, cut it up, and use some pliers to cut it into a sort of straight piece of wire. We'll be using this as the core of the horns. Then just take the end of that piece of wire and shove it into the sort of temple area of the base. Then just bend it and curl it however you need to get it to the basic shape of the horn. Then just take a little bit of tape to help secure it to your base. And if needed, you can also use a little bit of hot glue. Repeat this process to the opposite side of the head so that you have two matching-ish ram-like horns. Now, to give the horns their shape, we're going to take some newspaper, crumple that up, and wrap it around the wire frame. Then just use a little bit of tape to keep it in place as you go. As you are doing this, keep in mind we will be adding some more layers on top of this newspaper layer, so make the horns a little bit skinnier than you think they need to be. This was a problem I had, as I only had that one reference picture. I made the horns a little bit too thick, so learn from my lessons and make them just a little bit skinnier. Once you are done with that, go ahead and cover it in tape and mirror that on the opposite side of the head. Now that we've done that, go ahead and use a little bit of hot glue to place one thin layer of aluminum foil over the entire horns. This will help smooth it out for later. Now it is time to add the two smaller horns that come out of the forehead just above the eyes. These are much smaller. Go ahead and just take a little bit of wire, shove that in there, and then take just some aluminum foil and wrap that around the horns until it is the shape that it needs to be. Make sure to look at this from every angle so that you know that it is the right curve and everything like that. Turn it to the side, look at it, make sure you like it before you move on to the second horn. Go ahead and do both of those horns until you have 4 horns that look like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and start shaping the face a little bit. I'm going to add some aluminum foil just to thicken it up a bit. I'm going to do some things like adding it just to the chin to make it a little bit more broad. The Green Meanie has a very large, angry looking face that is bigger than a normal human, so we want to make sure that we emulate that. You don't need to get too detailed here. This is really just to get the base large face shape out of the way. Then, to prep our surface for the first layer of papier-mâché, I'm going to go ahead and spray all the aluminum foil surfaces with some spray adhesive. Aluminum foil does not like to let things stick to it, so this spray adhesive will help the first layer of papier-mâché stick better. Then it is time to start the papier-mâchéing. I don't have a correct recipe for my papier-mâché paste. I just take a little bit of water in a bowl, pour in some white PVA glue, and mix it up with my hands until it is a consistency that I like. How I like to papier-mâché is I get a little bit of the paste onto my hands and rub that all over the area that I am papier-mâchéing. Then I go back in with the paper push that down onto the gluey area and rub some more of the papier-mâché glue mixture on top of it. For projects like these, I find it is best to use large, irregular shaped pieces of newspaper. It will blend much better and it will cover the surface much faster than if you are using little strips. Go ahead and do this for the entire mask, face, horns, the whole shebang. Go ahead and give it about 5 good thick layers of papier-mâché. Once you have let that dry overnight, it is time to add on the spirals to the horns. We're going to start with the small horns first. Take a little coil of aluminum foil and use some hot glue to spiral that little coil up the horn. Repeat this process over and over again until you have a nice spiral look going up your small horns. Then you're going to pretty much do the exact same thing for your large horns, just with some thicker spirals that get a little bit smaller as they work their way up to the points. When you are done, it should look a little something like this. Then we are going to go ahead and add in those little extra horns that are growing off the back of the big horns that you'll see here. Just shape those out of aluminum foil and glue those down. Super easy. Then we are going to move over to the face. Now the Green Meanie basically looks like it has some melting flesh dripping over a skull. So we're going to add some bony pieces like some teeth, a jawbone or two, something that looks a little bit like a nose, some eye sockets, you know, the basic things that any sort of skull has. And then I go ahead and add some weird goblin-shaped ears. When you are done with that, it is time for the second round of papier-mâché. The first round was for structure, but this one is more cosmetic. This time, rather than newspaper, we are going to be using some thin white tissue paper. I will be taking a brush and applying the papier-mâché paste over the surface that I'm going to be working with. Then, take a piece of tissue paper, push that down, and use the paintbrush again with some more papier-mâché paste and coat that piece of paper, pushing it down into all the little nooks and crannies. This is really just to smooth out the aluminum foil texture and make it easier to put the final details on when we are done. We are also going to be using the same process on the horns, except for the horns, instead of regular papier-mâché mixture, we're going to be using just plain old wood glue. No water, just wood glue by itself with the tissue paper. On the face, you really only need to do 1 or 2 layers of this. On the horns, however, it does need to be a little bit stronger, so we're going to put on about 3 to 4 layers. Make sure that you get all the little nooks and crannies when you're doing this so that the mask stays together perfect when you are done. Now go ahead and let that layer dry completely. This will probably take at least overnight. Then go in with some solid plain wood glue again on that brush and put about 5 coats of this onto the horns. I know that sounds like a very large number, but trust me, this is needed for both structure and aesthetics. This will smooth over any lumpy textures you have and make the horns much stronger and durable once the mask is finished. After all of this has been said and done, your mask is probably getting very heavy and it is time to remove it from its base so you can move on to the detail work. To do this, first remove any tape, foil, or newspaper that is trapping the head onto the mask. Then cut away any excess pieces and start gently prying it away from the head. Be very careful when doing so that you do not break the mask. It should be very strong, but you still want to be careful. Just slowly start to jiggle that head around and it should start to come out. Pull out any paper that you can, and then the head should easily start to fall out even more. You might need some wire cutters to cut some of the wires that are attaching the mask to the head, but in the end it should very easily pull out like this. Once your mask is free from your head, you're going to notice on the inside it is full of all kinds of stuff that you do not want to put on your face. So go ahead and start pulling out all of the excess paper that's inside of the horns, as well as any aluminum foil, tape, and wires that would stick your face when you try to put it on. This might take a while, but when you're done, it should look nice and clean like this. Now that you have a thin mask, it is time to cut out the mouth and eye holes so that you can see and breathe. Doing this is very easy. Just take a sharp blade and very carefully poke it through the mask surface where the eyes go as well as mouth. Once you've done this, you pretty much have a mask. Go ahead and put that on your head and see how it fits to your face. From here you might have to adjust the eye or mouth holes based on where your face sits inside of the mask. Before moving on to the detail work of the face, I gave the horns a brown base coat. It's okay if it gets a little on the face, no big deal. Now for the face, we're actually going to be using some latex. You can sub this out for some white glue, but latex works much better. Go ahead and put down a base coat of latex, then instead of some tissue paper, stick on a cotton ball wherever you would like to add some detail. This is commonly used in simple makeup designs, but we are using it here to create some facial features. You can add some more under the eyes. You can also give it a strong brow line and some wrinkles to make it look like it has an angry face. We will also go in and add that little crevice it has on its head for some reason. Go ahead and just add any details that you feel would make it look good. Also add in some dragging skin and whatever so it looks like there's some melting flesh on top of the skeleton, just like this. Once you've got the basic stuff done, let that dry completely. Then go in with a sponge or a brush and stipple on another 2 or 3 coats just to make sure it is nice and coated. You can also at this stage add some drip marks just to further add to the melting effect. Just get a little excess on your sponge and let that drip down the side of the face. You can also just pour the latex straight out of the bottle. Do whatever you like. Make as many drips or as little as you like. Then again, let this dry completely and you have finished the first part of your mask. The base of the mask is complete and that will do it for the first part of this tutorial, guys. If you're interested in seeing how I painted the mask and finished it, make sure you stay tuned for the next few days where I will post the second part of the tutorial. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Make sure you check out all my other videos. I just posted a bunch for Christmas, 12 whole new videos, the 12 days of Christmas, and the original Scream Queens parody. I made that inspired this tutorial. And if you do not already and you would like to, make sure you hit that red button below and subscribe. Alright guys, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon with another great tutorial.